First up is a administrative item for Coastal Healing. Extension request for work within the Route 6 corridor. Coastal Healing is the marijuana dispensary on Route 6. And they have in order to fix Route 6 where the driveway was put in. So how much of an extension?
Yep, so I believe Diego is here tonight. He provided me with an update this morning that he has Century Paving to do the final mill and pave job out on the site in the Route 6 corridor. So they're tentatively scheduled for late June or early July. Currently, the planning board had set a date of March 31st of 2024 for the work to be done within the Route 6 corridor, but that date has came and gone. So I would suggest an extension through the end of July of 2024 for the work to be done.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion to extend it to August 1st.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is approval not required, A&R for 1429 Main Road, file number 24-013A. Request by applicant for endorsement of a two-lot plan of land located at 1429 Main Road, Assessors Map 84, Lot 21B. Do we have anybody here?
Hi there, I'm the applicant, Jocelyn.
Could you come to the podium?
Hi there, I'm the applicant, Jocelyn Gambone. I am expecting our engineer, Sean Leach, to be presenting on our behalf.
Okay.
He's obviously not here
So
yet.
we could pass over that for the now.
Perfect.
So what is your address?
It is 777 East Broadway, Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll be back to you. Next would be a pre-application consultation. File number 24-012 PAC, request by James Burke to discuss a site plan approval for a residential/home business motorcycle restoration located at 146 State Road, map 3,
John is here.
lot 40-40A. Yeah, we can go back. So we haven't started that process yet. So again, we're doing approval not required, A&R for 1429 Main Road, file number 24-013A. Request by applicant for endorsement of a two-lot plan of land located at 1429 Main Road, Assessors Map 84, Lot 21B.
Good evening, Sean Leach, Northeast Engineers, represent the applicant. This is a lot that spans between two roads, between Main Road and what's known as Macy Lane, which is an ancient way which was established some time ago on a previous plan. What we're doing tonight here is dividing up the existing lot, which consists of one whole into two pieces by this line here. Both lots which contain frontage, area, and upland requirements by the Town of Westport zoning bylaws. This is just south of Cornell Road. That's where this is located. You can see it here. Cornell Road would be right up here. This is just down Bob Caron's house.
So you're splitting up the lot into 3A and 3B.
Yes.
And 3B will get its frontage in the wetlands from
On
Macy
Macy's
Lane, which you can't drive down.
You can drive down it. It's tough. Yes, I agree. We plan on coming in with a common drive to access the upland area on these two lots.
And would you have enough frontage to do that?
We've got 150 feet of frontage. Common drive doesn't count, but there's 150 feet of frontage on Main Road. We plan on putting a standard 20-foot common driveway to access the two buildable areas on the lots. That way we don't have to do anything as far as disturbance of wetlands.
Okay, so this is the same way that Gill's Way subdivision was approved, is that correct?
Well, Gell's Way, that was kind of a separate thing. But Gell's Way, they had 1, 2, 3, 4 lots. One lot which had frontage but had a common drive going down to it. Gell's Way, the other 2 lots had frontage on the actual Gell's Way.
Right. Okay, any comments or questions from the board? So the question, I wasn't on the board when Macy Lane was used for frontage on those lots and determined to be an ancient way. Do we need to revisit that, or do we just take your word for it?
It's totally up to you. I don't expect anyone to take my word for it, but look at page 149-21, I believe, of which this is, there's several lots going down suddenly along Macy's Way that have houses on them already. This is the access from Cornell Road coming down through. That plan created a 40-foot easement right away as part of Macy's Lane. Macy's Lane was approved at that time to be adequate with grade construction to provide such access for those lots. I don't think there's anything on these lots and there's none on those lots up here.
But it's, you can drive down Macy Lane all the way beyond?
Oh, yeah,
the line?
this is former Prelude, owner Prelude.
Hart?
Whipple,
Whipple.
yeah.
So, and they drive down that
All
to
the time.
access the house?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Okay.
Do you come in off Cornell? How do you get in there?
Yeah, this is opening on Cornell Road down, probably about a quarter mile down the road from Cornell. Almost, probably 100 feet north of Judge's Way.
Oh, way up there, okay. Well,
So, Sean, did you say you're coming back before us on this common drive?
Yes. One of the problems we have just in front is there's a pinch point at this point right here that's 83 feet wide. You're proposing a bylaw that would not allow a subdivision that on this particular lot because it would have to be 100 feet minimum width.
so that's why you're here before.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the ideally, 2 flexible frontage lots, but to put another road in like Gell's Way just to create frontage for 2 lots is, I think, is kind of foolish.
And
It's not worth the, this way, we have 2 very nice buildable lots that will have access off a nice way coming onto Main Road.
I think we shouldn't run 2 subdivision roads side by side, 50 feet apart or something.
Why not? We do it all the time. Okay. Well, is there anybody here for this in the audience? No. Okay, so then, if there's no more comments or questions, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the endorsement of the plan entitled AP 84 Lot 21B, 1429, Main Road, Westport, Mass, because the plan complies with the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 81.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now the pre-application consultation, file number 24-012 PAC, request by James Burke to discuss a site plan approval for residential/home business motorcycle restoration located at 146 State Road, map 3, lot 4-4A. Hi,
Good afternoon.
could you identify yourselves?
I'm James Burke, 146 State Road, Westport. This is my father. I am James Burke, as well.
James Burke, okay. So,
Working with engineering group is in his company, and he is working on the plan and put forth a proposal after working with the Western Mass Circuit Rider to find out what possibilities we can present for approval. And the sheet flow process was one that, a stormwater system from the state viewpoint, that sheet flow is not a point source, and therefore it is unregulated by stormwater standards. And, by putting the building over what's mostly a driveway existing and increasing the overall non-permeable for the shop itself is a minimal increase. Obviously, the driveway and the parking spots, brings to a whole another level of non-permeable. But with the process with the sheet flow and the grading, and then directing the water from the gutter from the north side out into the field is a process we're hoping that you guys will agree is substantial enough to take care of the local regulations as well as whatever the state might impose upon us. And then if, post stormwater must be mitigated, we could look at possibly installing chambers underneath if that's required. The land is almost got a natural, grade down to a low area, which, currently, naturally collects water. It's not visible, but it's, the soil gets moist. And it's, a pretty good distance, from where he wants to, do sheet flow and just go over the burn. This whole area here is all, wide open grass. There's a lot of area for that water to dissipate and not create flooding. There's also, rock wall, a lot of vegetation and stuff that kind of picks up that flow. And my background, I was a general contractor in New York City, so I'm not super well versed in these areas. So like I said, this engineer is working with me on building a house up in the Berkshires, and it turns out this is his thing. And, so he said, we're trying to come up with a way that it's agreeable, and, hopefully we won't have to do a whole, series of tanks to slowly release stormwater. He indicated that he felt that he'd like to go for return events mitigation over a 2-year, 10-year, and 25-year event, just to address whatever concerns there are for major storms. And other than that, I'm just going to read from what he said. Any kind of feedback you can give us to help us get there is appreciated.
Okay. So, question just from looking at the plan. It looks like the low area in the back is right where that back building is. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, this building here is not the lowest area, and this area here
Yeah.
isn't the lowest area. The original firm that we had on the job came in with, with some jargon, which kind of said, like this is where a biodetention area, or something along those lines, which I wasn't familiar with all that. So this here was a lower area. This here is up a little high. And this septic system that was put in, 10, 15 years ago, that's built up as well. So it kind of helps roll it out.
Mm-hmm. I was talking about the square building in the back.
Back lot.
Is that not?
Talking about this here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was pointing here, I'm sorry, yeah, this building here, like I said, most of the wetness is over here. Over here is still pretty dry.
Okay.
And then, the neighbor is way over here, and, they're actually, they were, family owned both properties, so
Mhm.
she's very agreeable, and this isn't gonna make an issue of it.
So,
As a-
If you get a lot of rain, where it must pond back there?
It doesn't pond, it just gets moist.
There's an area beyond our property line. There's a rock wall at the back of the property line. And just beyond that is, I don't want to say wetlands, but it's an area that the neighborhood behind us used to push water to.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that they had pointed out early on when we started looking around.
Because that area behind you looks in a higher elevation than on your lot, right?
The one on the back, it does, it kind of goes, this way here, and that's why he's saying that, beyond the stone wall on the neighbor's property is where sometimes you'll see some bubble.
I don't see that.
Yeah, it's, just gets moist.
So, planners, what are your thoughts?
As far as stormwater, I would think that during the site plan approval process that the consultant would handle the stormwater. I'm not comfortable commenting on stormwater.
Yeah, and that's standard for what we do. We route out all of our applications to a consulting engineer to review it do the stormwater analysis. So myself as well, I don't want to, provide them guidance on how to design the stormwater just because that's not my background. But as far as this plan goes, it would require site plan review. And would have to go through the normal public hearing processes for that.
Right, so would they need a variance to have a business and residential on the same lot?
So they were before us for a minor site plan
About a year ago.
about a year ago, and I think that would be Ralph's determination on the relief they would need or something for the business and residential district.
Now, it is commercially zoned already.
It's right on Route 6, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're in the commercial district,
But it would be,
and you can have residential and you can have commercial, but I'm just not sure if you can have both on one lot. But you can ask Ralph, the building inspector. I mean, that's not,
Well, he
that's not.
cleared that.
So,
Yeah, he said that
Oh, yeah.
he's good with that, as long as the
Yeah.
building is done commercially with plans and everything else.
We actually came for a preliminary a little over a year ago with a site plan with the building set in the back of the property.
Yeah,
And that was cleared as far as a variance and to move forward with the drawings. However, we learned that putting the building in that area of the property would not be efficient as far as stormwater and everything together. So then I applied for a minor change and variance on the property as it sits without any building, because I was in the process of purchasing the property. And that was cleared as in accordance with getting parking set up for the new variance. Since then, we decided to work with another engineer and come up with a site plan that seems a lot more feasible.
so I think the question that we're not prepared to answer for you is, in this pre-app, is whether or not you have to do some stormwater mitigation or not.
And that's
I mean,
pretty much
so-
our main question.
Right.
Do you know if you guys have a circuit rider that you use specifically, or is it from a pool within the state? 'Cause I
We-
know the circuit riders cover different counties. What's the city's,
I'm unfamiliar with circuit riders in this area. With DEP, I assume is what you're talking about?
yes.
So, I have no idea. So, but I would, if you're looking to contact DEP, I'd contact them in Lakeville at the Southeastern Regional Headquarters. They might be able to help you in that regard, or you could go to whoever's doing this plan for you and ask them whether or not they think you need stormwater mitigation.
Well, he
So
proposed
what
it.
happens is normally is that you file a regular application with stormwater mitigation included if it's required, if they think it's required. And then we charge you to have a second engineering company for us to determine whether that's correct.
Okay. And
So-
what's the fee schedule for that, and how do we get started?
You pull up the fee schedule. To answer one of your questions, I don't have a direct contact with the Southeast Regional Office for the circuit riders, but I can forward you
Okay.
the website, and there's a general helpline for their office on there.
This way, our engineer can connect with him, and then, he knows how to design it, so it'll meet approvals. And thank you for taking this call, Mike. Appreciate it.
Well,
This is gonna require a state highway road opening permit,
Yes, we got an application in already.
and they're going to want to see the drainage to make sure it's not draining back out to the street. So, and this is, this is a reasonably, I think there can be simple drainage designs, solutions, but you've got to be able to show to them that the drainage is not headed back out towards the street. And then number two, that you've got grading on this. And I think if you sort of follow the contours here, there is only a single driveway going up to that garage. So it's only, whatever that is, 10 feet wide or something, and now we've got this big loop in here. I know it's relatively small, but on the frontage of the property, it's a pretty big section. So I think somewhere behind those parking spaces, you need to do something to get the stormwater controlled, so it isn't running back out in the street, and to make sure that it's not sitting up against your garage or something. So your engineer should take, if you've got to come back to us for a site plan review, and you've got to have a state permit, so I'd have your engineer look at just that grading and how he would infiltrate that water right off the back of that parking area.
so is it going to be required for low-impact development in this?
I don't think so. I don't think they're going to disturb.
It's too small.
Yeah,
Too small.
it's less than an acre of disturbance.
Because if you're going to do that, or even if you aren't, you might consider a bioretention spot.
Right, the initial engineer had created bioretention down in this area here,
Right.
Are there a lot of trees right there where you talked about the retention?
No, there's just a
No,
little
it's
bit.
open. You can see this one tree is here, and this is where it was, but down here where the rock wall is, it's all trees, bunch of trees in here.
Okay. Because when I pulled it up on the map, it seemed like there were a lot of trees, but that's over your property line.
Yeah,
Correct.
they're all kind of jutting towards us.
I mean, this tree here is a nice sized tree here in
Yeah.
the corner, and so is this one here. But the rock wall kind of almost goes like right over here. I'm surprised it's not shown on this.
Okay.
We also had a recent survey done by Farland
Right.
Engineering, so we got all the topographical, and so we're confident from what we saw and our engineer saw that, there won't be backflow into the street because of.
Yeah, it's a steady gradients all the way back from the street.
I mean, this site is a pretty easy site. You don't have difficult problems to solve,
Right.
but you still have to solve
Still
it.
have to
Or your
design it, yeah.
engineer still has to solve it. But it's not a complicated
His
problem
his
with
largest
the way
question was the
this
sheeting.
slopes away from the road, and the way it slopes down, and the way there don't appear to be wetlands. You've got something that's pretty straightforward for your engineer to work with, but he's still got to solve it.
Generated, yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, I can envision a small bioretention basin there. It's not a problem. The question that we didn't answer is how much it's gonna cost for our engineer.
Right.
And, planners, any idea?
Yep, so I actually just emailed you the fee schedule, but the site plan, it'll be a major site plan. It won't fall under a minor. So that's 700, and then for the consultant fee, we do require 2,500 upfront, but anything that's unused goes back to the
And it's
applicant.
billed by the hour, basically, or is
Yeah.
it by the job?
It's by the
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that's all part of the major application, correct? Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks for coming in early.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it helps to get these things out of the way first.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Can I just ask,
Sure,
question?
Sure, Mark?
Keep everyone happy.
just to clarify the uses that you have envisioned here, so the existing building nearest the road,
Yes,
that's a home, and that will stay as a residential use?
yes.
And then just behind it is something called an office. That's another existing building
Correct.
that will be an office?
This here,
No,
is that what you're saying?
the one close to, that you're attaching the addition to.
This one here?
Existing
Yeah.
garage.
This is a
It's a garage.
2.5 car garage.
Okay, and that
And
will,
then it's gonna build out, and most of this is driveway. This here is about 12 feet, but from here to here is, I think it's 20.
well, so the addition you envision is that gonna be a single-story,
Yes. 25 by 50 steel building.
steel building, slab on grade?
Yep. Oh, we're gonna be doing frost wall.
All right, and it's gonna be a workshop or a,
Yes.
yeah.
Restoration.
And I assume that distance separation between the residence and the new building
12 feet. It's 12.
is satisfies, okay.
I think the engineer will check on it, had a minimum of 10.
Yeah. All right. And then the last thing is that building, the square building in the back, what use will that be?
That's another dwelling.
So you'll have two separate dwellings plus a business use.
Yes. And that's why we have a lot of
That's
six,
why we got 6
six
spots.
places.
So, has there always been two dwellings on this lot?
Yes.
So does that predate zoning?
So is there
The
any,
little brother's gonna be,
is there any driveway or to that back residence?
just have to walk out, walk out.
And all of those buildings, including the new addition, will be tied to the septic system that's in place? Or is that being expanded?
It's currently, both dwellings are hooked into the existing septic. One of the questions we had we gotta check with the
Or,
plumbing inspector to find out if we require a full toilet or if it just needs to have water. But the plan is that if it's required to put a toilet in, then the original design included adding, I think, 6 days or whatever the engineer came up with to tap into the existing system so that it can be done.
I think the managing the stormwater right close to the paved area is probably the thing to do because, you know, there's that Hebert terrace residential street that comes in right at the bottom. I wouldn't put the water down on the property line. I'd solve the water problem up where you're generating the water, up in, the side hill.
Should be cheaper, too.
Yes.
The property line to the right of the site?
The
Back end.
rear property.
Back
Okay,
end.
yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
You plan to restore motorcycles, correct?
Yes.
And do a lot of your customers drive motorcycles?
Yes.
So, Michael, is there parking definitions for parking spaces for motorcycles? They don't seem to take up the same amount of space as parking spaces for cars.
There's a catch-all requirement for parking for uses that are classified in the zoning bylaw. They would be required.
10 by 18?
Required to have, yeah, a standard parking space based on the area of the building that they're constructing and in addition to the uses that are already on the site. There's no specific regulation for motorcycle parking in the zoning bylaw.
So even though their business is motorcycles, their customers drive motorcycles, the requirement is all the parking spaces be sized for cars.
10 by 18.
Well, honestly, a lot of the motorcycles we work on are long-term restoration of antiques,
Yeah,
and they're all typically parked inside at all times,
yeah,
and long-term jobs instead of service in and out.
yeah.
As far as customers dropping bikes off and coming in and out, I have 5 bikes in my shop for a year, working on just them.
Yeah.
It's
I
slow
was-
traffic, but the residence is a 1.5 spot per,
Yeah.
that's 3 right there, so.
So I assume that the motorcycles arrive in a pickup truck, right? Because they're not going to walk home.
Typically mine, yeah, and leaving them too more often than not.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So, do you have enough from us?
So, can I just, we can touch with you for minutes, and then I'll follow up with the engineer and we'll see,
Yep, and you have the contact info for the circuit rider and also the fee schedule in your email.
Awesome.
thank you very much.
Which one again is James Burke?
Senior, junior.
Twins.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Buzzards Bay Coalition, file number 23-005 SP-FF. We need to close out and release the consultant review balance of $822.56 plus interest. This application was approved on April 4th, 2023. This plan divided 559 Main Road petty property into 2 lots, separating the house lot and the remaining land was purchased by Buzzards Bay.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yep.
I'm on the board, and my preference would be to sit out discussion on this and to vote present, but I don't want to
I think
get-
this is more an administrative. I don't think it's anything,
I don't want to get rid of our quorum.
no. Well, we still have a quorum, but,
Yeah.
so I would entertain a motion.
I move to release the inspection funds of $822.56 plus the interest for flexible frontage plan, land dividing Plan 69, Lot 12 in Westport, Mass.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Present.
Okay, next is Private Acres, also called Walters Way, file number 99-005C. Close out and release the consultant review balance of $54.98 plus interest.
I move to release the inspection funds of $54.98 plus interest for the definitive subdivision plan, Private Acres, Westport, Mass.
Second.
Okay, before we vote, I just wanted to ask a question of the planners. With Walters Way, we used to have a lot more money. Did we give it to the homeowners?
No, so we're still holding that for surety. But as far
Okay.
as the consultant review balance of $54.98, that can be released.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Next up is 795 Pine Hill Road, file number 21-003, SP-CD-FF. Close out and release the consultant review balance of $571.03 plus interest. This project was approved on July 13th for David and Paula Emelita.
I move to release the inspection funds of $571.03 plus interest for flexible frontage plan at 795 Pine Hill Road, Westport, Mass. for David and Paula Emelita.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is Sewell's Way, file number 24-004 SPA-LID. Endorsed site plan approval, low impact development decision in associated plans located at 0 Sewell's Way, map 57, lot 19 and 24. This is something that we just approved.
Yeah, you already approved it. It's just endorsement of the decision.
Correct.
If you want to do it at the end of the meeting, that's fine.
Well, do you want to do it now?
Just do it now.
Let's do it
Okay.
now.
The plans are in the office, but you can endorse the decision.
I move to approve the site plan approval low impact development application for Sunrise on Sewell's Way LLC, the property owned by Daniel C. Perry, trustee of the John B. Hathaway Real Estate Trust located south of Sewell's Way between Route 88 and Drift Road, assessors map 57, lots 19 and 24 pursuant to Westport zoning bylaws, section 8.2, site plan approval, low impact development.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Next up is approval not required, A&R, map 87, lot 5, for 461 Old Harbor Road, file number 24-008A. Request by the applicant for endorsement of a two-lot plan?
Two lot plan.
Two-lot plan of land located between 435 and 471 Old Harbor Road, Assessors map 87, lot 5.
So this one's actually tied to the flexible frontage public hearing at 461 Old Harbor Road at 6:45.
Okay,
So I don't know if.
so let's pass this over for now and come back to it. Next would be the 6:15 public hearing for plat 54, lot 20A, Marcotte Drive. File number 23-031C, continued from October 17th, 2023, December 12th, 2023, and February 6th, 2024. There's a request by the applicant for a continuance to July 16th of this year at that meeting. And what time?
6:15.
Do you want a motion?
Please.
Mr. Chair, at the request of the applicant, I move to continue the public hearing of plat 52, lot 20A, Marcotte Drive, to our meeting at 6:15 on July 16th, 2024.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we have the 6:30 public hearing for plat 21, lot 8A, Mellows Way, file number 23-028 SPA-LID, continued from October 3rd, 2023, November 14th, 2023, and February 20th, 2024.
Good evening. The Director, Bill Smith, Civil Engineering Concepts. With me tonight are Richard LeBlanc, the developer, or the applicant, and Catherine Carlos, who's the owner of the property. This is a continuation of the low-impact development application. Property is on Mellows Way and Shabbat Street. Lot size is approximately 15 acres. This is an after-the-fact permit for some clearing in excess of 1 acre. Property clearing was accomplished in this area of the property. There's a vegetated buffer that surrounds the exterior of the property. Originally, the plan was for a 39 unit independent living facility. That the current plan is no development. The applicant is no longer pursuing that project and is no longer purchasing the property from Ms. Carlos. During the original permitting process, we did get an EPA NIPDES permit. There is wetlands that are located to the south of the property, south and southeast, which is shown here. And there's also a wetland over in here that exists. We're proposing that during the development of the process when the clearing was done, some gravel had been added to Mellows Way, a couple inches in this area over in here, and this stone driveway was also added. We're proposing that we bring that back to the original grade so that we don't change the flow patterns on the property. The site was not graded other than through some soil testing that was done when we did our test pits. When some stumps were removed, they were removed by an excavator. There's never been a bulldozer on the site. That's caused the contours to change with the exception of a few inches as opposed to large cuts and fills. We took SW Cole, Roger Poisson, prepared a report for the board. We agree that there are ponding areas on the site at some of the test pits. Those settle over time, so there's a little bit of depression storage that occurs there. Roger referenced some ponding over the gas easement, which is well beyond the ownership of my client, and it's not anything that's attributed to the work that was done associated with the clearing. There is some ponding that occurs in the southeast corner. Down in this area, we have some ponding that occurs alongside this driveway, and in this area, ponding in here, this used to be the old cart path in and out of the property, and when it was used for some of the clearing and the soil testing, that sort of thing, that caused that to deepen a little bit and hold more water than it initially did. There is some ponding that's occurring here. The roadway is higher than the land on both sides of it, so we are getting some depression storage. The topography out here is very flat, so the water doesn't move very quickly. There's a lot of depression storage on the property. When Lighthouse Lane was established, there's in 03, I believe it was, there's a wetland pocket down in here, and I think some of that has attributed to some of the water that is being seen on the adjacent properties. There is a pile of trash on the property. Looks like it's clay tiles or porcelain tiles, which will be removed. We were hoping to have that done before the meeting tonight, so I can report that, but we will get that out of there. One of the neighbors had reported to Roger that there was referred to as a Jeep lane in his report, Mellows Way, and that was actually higher in elevation than the road as it stands now. Gravel was added to that, but gravel, there was no cutting of that land. And I think that incorrect information led Roger to believe that by nature of it being, the elevation being lowered, we were allowing more water to get to the east onto the neighboring properties. That's not the case. We raised it a couple of inches. Not significant, but we admit that it was a couple of inches there. I talked with Mrs. Carlos, and she said that about 15 years ago, that property was logged. So it's certainly not an old growth forest or pristine forest before Mr. LeBlanc got involved in it. A lot of rocks on that property. Vegetation, if you look at some of the photographs, the vegetation is coming back in a very good fashion, at least in terms of my opinion. So it is restoring itself. Yes, we don't have the taller trees there, but we do have a good undergrowth that would tend to slow down runoff, cause additional infiltration. The depression storage that I talked about would also do that same thing, so it promotes the infiltration as well. So I guess my position is that, well, let me back up. Roger's comments and Amy's comments were that we should install a berm along here and then have a cut in a swale over and through here in the undisturbed portion of the property. I personally don't see that as necessary. I think the way the property is revegetating, we're going to have a similar condition to what we had prior to the clearing. And talking with the owner, she does not want to have swales carved into her property or have any more work done on that. And be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
So, Michael, is it possible, or do you have the pictures on your computer? Can you put them up?
Can I narrate on some of the pictures, which would help?
Sure.
So this one is kind of a sideways view, but it's the end of that gravel laneway or that stone laneway, and some of that depression storage that I talked about. It's on Mrs. Carlos's property. It's not along the roadway. The next one is also on the property. It's just, it's a very flat area. There is what I call depression storage there, and that's just another site, again, on Mrs. Carlos's property and not on the neighboring property or on Mellows Way.
So where is this, where are these two pictures?
That one was taken looking towards the north from that driveway. So,
If I can switch back and forth between the
Okay,
sides,
so-
so if you could show on the plan maybe, does that work?
sure, that'd be perfect. So the first one was taken here, looking that way. The second one was taken this way, and again, some of that depression storage that is on the property, it's on the site. Third picture is, here's the gas easement. That's been cleared for many years. It's appears to be like that, and again, nothing that's been done as part of the clearing the developer had done. This is Mellows Way, looking, that's on the east side, so, you know, we're looking this way. This is the Carlos property over here. You can see the road is higher. There's water that's ponded here. There's water that's ponded over here. You can see a little bit of water crossing over. There's another picture that shows that, but it actually shows the water going onto the Carlos property as opposed to going the other way.
Can we go back to the site plan to show where the top photograph is taken?
Sure. So gas easement is here.
Right.
So there's a little depression right up in here, and that's where that's looking. And you can see the fence line, and I believe it's the fence line for this property over here. This looking down the gas easement this way. The second one, where we've got the ponding on both sides, was taken down in this area, and this is looking this way. This one is looking 90 degrees to that last one. That's on private property for the Lighthouse Lane property. Those piles of wood are still there. This one, I believe, is, again, similar to that. I don't know if it's north or south of that, but that's looking onto the private property. You can see some of the Lighthouse Lane houses in the background. That's one of the Lighthouse Lane properties, and that, I'm not sure exactly which house that is. I tried to figure that out this afternoon before I came to the meeting, but I couldn't pinpoint exactly which one it was. Again, there's some depressions in the yards where you've had so much rain this past month or so. It seems like there's water everywhere. Same thing. This is up closer to the houses. Now, the houses are quite a ways away from Mellows Way. This is, I'm not sure where that one was. Roger had a reference, but it didn't look like it included that one. That, I believe, let's see, I think that's looking westerly from Mellows Way onto this area in here, which was the old farm road, if you will, where it becomes down and it's created a depression there. This is looking down Mellows Way. This is one of the property references. In the corner, there's a stone wall right here that goes this way, looking northerly along Mellows Way. There's some no dumping signs that I referred to or alluded to in my email to Amy. This is again that same area south. Water is ponding here. The gravel roadway is a little bit further to the north, and it comes in. You can see that the water is actually flowing this way. You can see the turbulence that's caused there. So it's coming from the Lighthouse Lane, the east side, crossing Mellows, and then coming onto the Carlos property. This is down off of Shabbat Street, and the Oak Ridge development is down here. This was going to be a access to the property, and there was some stone there for construction entrance, which has been removed and it's revegetating. That would be up in this area over here, looking this way. So this is on the Carlos property. You can see the vegetated buffer that hasn't been disturbed. This is some of the clearing that took place to the bottom of the photograph. Again, looking out into some of the cleared area, you can see where the vegetation is coming back in force. and some of the vegetation, the vegetated buffer that surrounds that. Get some more, lots of rocks out there, weren't vegetated before, still aren't vegetated. Again, here, this was an old roadway that, part of that old farm road that came through, and it's coming back a little bit slow with the vegetation, but you've got a pretty thick stand of vegetation around that. Same thing here, and here, and there as well. And this is the gravel or the stone drive that we talk about. Melrose Way is running perpendicular to that. That's the tile that we will be getting picked up. Again, more rocks, more vegetation.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
To Bill and to Michael, unless S.W. Cole missed it with all these photographs, it does not seem from the photographs that this open field has turned into an attractive nuisance, which is what I was worried about, people coming in with ATVs or dirt bikes and carving up, making a lot of noise, because you don't see any evidence of any trails that such bikes and ATVs lead. Now, is that a correct assumption to make?
I've tried to go out there after every heavy rainfall for the past 6 months just to better gauge what all is going on that property, and I've not seen any trails, tracks, anybody on an ATV or a dirt bike. So, and you don't know of anybody.
They go down gas easement.
They go, okay, so the gas easement, I think, is a better opportunity for them. But we did have some pictures of the gas easement. It doesn't seem like that's run out or worn.
So the gas easement would affect all kinds of properties, not
Yeah,
just this one?
all the way down from
Yeah.
Tickle all the way up.
And
Okay,
if you see them, you can't get them because
right,
they go like hell.
understand. But that would not be unique to this property, that would
They
be,
don't go on the, I drove off there when I first started.
Yeah. okay, thank you.
Okay, so Michael or Amy, you want to go over the Cole report?
Sure. Want me to read it?
Please, well, I don't think you need to read the whole thing, but if you could read the basics.
Sure. If we do- Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to read as just 3 paragraphs of his comments.
Okay.
The first area behind 23 Duval Ave at the northeast corner where drainage would be impacting neighboring properties is noted to be as predicted for drainage area 2. Pre-development conditions have the flows from the smaller of the 3 drainage areas flowing toward the southeast corner of 23 Duval Ave, and no change is noted currently. The last work that was done impacted that site would have been when the gas pipeline was installed. The second impact area is behind numbers 42, 46, 50, and 54 Lighthouse Lane. Based on pre-development stormwater map, these flows are predicted to flow in that direction. The removal of the vegetation that once slowed and held back much of the flows, and the removal of the jeepway that once existed, flows onto said impacted areas has increased. The applicant's recommendation to allow the cleared areas to revegetate themselves to create the required vegetation area as once existed to hold back and slow flows as a plausible but extremely time consuming. The vegetation that was there probably took decades to establish. Unfortunately, the impacts are being felt today by the affected neighbors. One consideration to mitigate this problem caused by the pre-approval construction work would be to install a small berm of porous gravel starting at the stone wall at the southeast corner, then going southerly, paralleling Mellows Way for about 200 feet until it ties into the elevation 235 contour point. A swale running from this low area toward the southwest corner of the property should be created. Bottom of this swale should be the elevation of 234 and will end when it meets the contour of elevation 234. See included photo map.
So, do you have any response?
I do. So the 23-day wall is up in here. That's the gas easement pond that was shown on that photograph. That was not attributable to the work that was done for the clearing that was done when they backfilled the gas easement and they left the low spot there. The other properties are mentioned, the Lighthouse Lane. That's these properties down here. That's the one where we talked about the waters flowing this way in the photograph, and that the road was not cut out to divert the water this way. It was actually filled a couple of inches, and it is low on both sides of the road, and they tend to collect water there. There is a wetland for the Lighthouse Lane subdivision that is down in here, so it's certainly a damp area to begin with. And again, the topography up in here is extremely flat, so there's not a lot of slope to push water around. There's a lot of small depressions, and a lot of that is evidenced by the photographs. The berm that Roger talks about, porous gravel berm, and his sketch showed that being installed in here on the west side of the roadway with a swale coming down through here. If I can just bring to your attention, I do have a wetlands line down here. This is all vegetated. I hate to have to take more vegetation out of the mix to do that. And again, a porous gravel berm is really not going to, the water's going to move through it anyways. I don't know if that would, I don't think that would be as functional as he would like it to be.
So, with Mellows Way in that area, you raised the level of that anyway?
We brought that up a couple inches of gravel over top of it. And our position was, let's try and restore what the original drainage pattern was there by removing the gravel. If the gravel itself could act as a berm to provide that same function that Roger was talking about with the porous gravel. And it is higher than the neighboring properties, so it would in fact act like a berm. And we'd be happy to remove it. We'd be happy to leave it there, whichever the board is most comfortable with.
Well, it's, with the two of you disagreeing on what the mitigation strategy should be, perhaps you ought to meet with him out there and try to hash it out.
Okay. I know their report came in. It didn't give me a lot of time to formulate a response. I had to consult with my client and that sort of thing. So I haven't been able to, and I think Roger is semi-retired, so I'll have to go to Derek to get back to Roger. But I certainly would be available to chat with him if the board doesn't mind me going around not doing it through the board, but just doing it directly. Meet out there if he wants to, or what have you.
So I'm going to go to the board first. Any questions, comments? I'll get to you. Planners?
Okay, so this has been going on for a while, and I think there's two issues at hand here. I think that something needs to be done for mitigation for the water that's going on to, the abutting properties. But I also think that, and what you're proposing sounds good, but I'm in favor of going more towards what Derek's recommended. I think that a lot of it also is just because we've had like an insane amount of precipitation. But I think that going the more conservative route with the berm and the swale would be better for the site, only because we've seen from the pictures the massive amounts of water that are pooling on the property and then going off the property as well. And the revegetation, it is growing back, but a lot of large trees with root systems were taken out, so that won't properly revegetate back to its pre-construction status for years and years.
Just I have one follow-up question. As we said when Mr. Burke was here, we do rely very heavily on our consulting engineers to provide us these recommendations. And typically that's the way we go, is with the recommendations of the consulting engineer. And so I think in this case, that would be our recommendation, because that's what was recommended by SW Cole, but ultimately the decision is up to the board.
Well, the question in my mind is, with the pictures, Mr. Smith is contending in some of those pictures, the water is going from the neighboring properties onto this property, not the other way around. And I think it could be that it's the low point right at the property line, and sometimes it goes one way and sometimes it goes the other. I don't know. I mean, so it was just my thought that perhaps if they got together, they could come back with a solution that would work and be acceptable to all parties. I just don't know.
Yeah, that would be my inclination, to ask Mr. Smith and our consultant to meet one more time on the site and
Together. I mean,
Yeah,
it has to be
together.
so.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
We do have the applicant and the property owner here too.
Yeah, I know.
So you may be interested in
Yeah,
hearing.
well, I'm going to hear from neighbors first.
Mr. Chairman, I think also there's almost no harm in, I think there's no harm in taking the stone gravel road that was created on Miller's Way. If that were graded down someplace so that the water, whatever trapping that does, and it's pretty flat, Bill, as you know, and I haven't been out there recently, but I was out there quite a few times. And getting that lowered to its original grade, even if it's just a couple of 100 feet where the water seems to want to run into that little pocket that's just there, right in there. If you got that out, at least the road itself is not creating a dam for the properties that are on the Lighthouse Road. Now that might mean that they continue to drain. Before all this was done, I suspected the water was flowing. Ultimately, there's a little crest right on that site. That is, there's a little flat ridge at the top, but basically the water wants to run to the west and down that slope. So taking whatever the the dam effect of the road out restores to the conditions it was when it was a natural cut path. And then we can see the water gets relieved from the back of the neighbor's lots.
So, yeah, I think that's a good idea, because if the water wants to flow in this direction, and the road is preventing it from it seems to the neighbors like they're being impacted by your water, and even though it's probably coming out of their ground, could be, I don't know.
In all the lots to the south along Willow Lane, the immediate southern lot, it has quite a large wetland on it. And the lot below that, it has a construction yard or something in it. It has a lot of water standing right alongside the road.
That's a wetland from the 2003 subdivision plan, so it's not unfamiliar with water and standing water there. That wetland is down in here, and it used to relieve itself across Mellows Way down here, and that's been raised a little bit too, which could cause some of that water to build up here and then have to reach an elevation to allow it to relieve itself.
So you're creating, the lots on Lighthouse probably during their construction were mounded a little bit, and so what is sort of a flat just sitting at the top of this hill, it's just a place where the water's standing. I think getting the road back to its natural shape and see what that does, and that's a pretty easy piece of work.
Yeah.
Should we, one suggestion I have is maybe, that sounds like a reasonable solution, and maybe we should just ask Amy or Michael to propose that to Roger and see what his reaction is, and maybe don't need a site meeting.
Yeah, could be.
I think the site meeting would be helpful, because, and I can bring my level out, we can check grades and things like that, to ascertain which way water is moving, where it's moving, that kind of thing. And I'll try and scrape back some of the gravel so we can see where the original grade was, and hopefully we can agree on what makes the most sense there.
In terrain like this, it's not easy to determine which way is going down.
So, John?
My first reaction, I confess, is you take down all the trees without permission, put them back, but I think that's not where I end up on this. I think, as others have said, the main issue here is water and how it affects neighbors, and that is where the focus should be with grading berms or whatever it takes to do that. I think if there is not an incursion on this, I would call it a meadow, by destructive forces like mountain bikes and ATVs, with the exception of the gas easement, then what's going to happen here are the 4 stages of forest development. It'll start as a meadow, and then you'll get the second stage, which is, small shrubs, and then you'll get the third stage, which is softwood pines, and then you'll get the 4th and final stage, which is hardwoods. And that will take some time, but it's also kind of the way forests develop. And every one of those ecosystems attracts different animals and has different benefits. And it happens by itself without a lot of heavy equipment coming in, digging big holes to plant big trees. And so people who are there see it, and it's gentle on the environment.
And we do have the latter stage around the property, and the area that's been cleared is starting to revegetate in some of
Right.
the first stages.
Okay, so you would like to speak?
Yes.
First of all, could you identify who you are?
Yes, I will. My name is Tom Lockman. I live at 54 Lighthouse Lane. And I own the property since 2013 and haven't had one problems until they changed, started developing the back. And this winter, I had a flow of water from middle of January, probably about the 10th of January somewhere. March, and I sent pictures all the time to the town of the water coming through Melrose Lane. And I've walked the property in the back, and I met the town engineer, and the water isn't flowing onto their property. The water is starting up here, it's flowing down. And the water used to flow out. And if you stay on Melrose Lane now, there's a ridge of dirt and boulders in here that is higher than Melrose Lane. And that's trapping the water as it flows down. And the water is flowing every direction. Up in here, there's a puddle in here, up in here. There's a puddle off of the gravel here, saw pictures, and then it floods through here, and it goes over Melrose Way. And the reason why it goes over Melrose Way is that the back over here, where it used to flow out, this part now is higher. And I came down a few months back, and Michael corrected me. He said, this area was cleared and graded. That was your words. And I said, okay. So now we have a comment that said that it wasn't graded. And so I don't, if you look at the map in here, I suspect that in here it doesn't match the map. This map doesn't match reality. But we have neighbors here who have walked here, and if water is flowing down, the water isn't flowing from here over. In here, it's dry. Okay. There's a stone wall here, and the water, and it's sloping down. So the water, if you stand on Melrose Lane and you look down the property line at the stone wall, you can see it slopes down. And even if it came in here, it would flow down this way. It wouldn't go out here. Okay. So you can see all these puddling, and you can see the flow of water going down. It's running. Okay. So, and Jonathan can testify to the same thing. It's running down and coming out here. And we've never had this before. And what's happened here is, first I thought that Melrose Lane was getting worn down. What's happening is debris, dirt is coming down and it's filling this pond up, so it's getting a little bit higher. So the amount of water that's being held back is less. More water is flowing across Melrose Lane. But in the past, the water went that way. And I can remember going out, I was walking down to Oak Ridge Development, and when you stepped off Melrose Lane, you stepped down about 8 inches onto a trail, a roadway, a dirt road, or whatever, a path down this way, and there was another one coming in here to connect. And as you walk down, you were going downhill. And it's not like I can recreate it, but the slope is there. It's down there. And if you come now, if you go in here, this is higher than here. And that's what's creating the problem. And when I was out there, the engineer would walk through this whole area with boots. And walk down here and he could see it. So, I don't know what else to tell you.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Hi, my name is Patty Lucarelli. I live
Could you
at
talk more into the thing?
Oh, sorry. My name is Patty Lucarelli. I live at 42 Lighthouse Lane, and I'd like to address a couple of the comments that were made. First, there are ATVs and motorcycles that travel along the back of the property. They're not going through now because it's too cold, but in the warm weather, they're constantly back there. I hear them because my property abuts that. So I hear them all the time, and that's just happened in the past year or 2 years. So it's happened recently. So there is that nuisance back there. Second, the water flow that's traveling through Mr. Longman's property is actually flooding parts of the sidewalk and the street. I know because I walk my dog in that direction every day, but that's where the kids wait for the buses. So they're not able to stand and wait for the buses on those flooded sidewalks. Instead, they're having to stand away from the bus stop or on the road, area of the road that it hasn't flooded. My last
Can
comment.
you point to where they are standing or trying to stand?
It's not gonna be on this plan.
I can't,
It won't be on this
I don't know
plan.
where-
No,
In
it's
the
like
front of
house
your,
lane.
in front of your house.
Be up here with that.
I don't know where that,
So here's the lighthouse lane right here.
yeah, so it's all in here with the flooding.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Right through there with the flooding. The last comment that I'd like to make is that the town engineer that authored the report that was provided to you has no financial interest in anything that he's recommended, as opposed to, with all due respect to this gentleman here, he's representing the owner and the developer. They have a financial interest in not wanting to spend money or how much money to resolve this issue. So I would implore the board to give the weight due to your engineer that you could give to your engineer. And I don't know if you have any other questions for me, but I am concerned with the amount of water. And I've lived on Lighthouse Lane for, I believe, 11 years now, and we've never had this issue before.
Thank you.
Could I just respond?
Yes.
So the question about this area in through here being regraded, there's rocks the size of cars in there. We dug test holes, we pulled some stumps, but we never got in there with a dozer, we never changed the grading other than the cleaning up the work that was done. So there was never an intent or to raise this grade. There was never the accomplishment. It's fairly close to what we had when we did the topo, other than depending on where we take our shots. So the backyard down here is a wetland. We've had probably the wettest March on record. We're pretty close to it. So and I know this has been going on for a while, and I've seen the photos, and I agree with the photos. I've seen the same pictures and such, but I just as far as us changing the grade on that property to deflect water in a different direction, we haven't done that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Evening. My name is Jonathan Danforth. I live at 50 Lighthouse Lane. I've only lived on Lighthouse Lane for a couple of years, so I don't have the historical perspective that my neighbors have offered. But talking with them, as well as other neighbors who are not here tonight, it's clear that there's a correlation in time between the development and a change in patterns of what the water is doing. I think that's important because it doesn't show up in pictures. I also want to say that if we're going to look again, together or however, at the site, it might be useful to go out while it's pouring. And I'll say why I'm saying that. Because, as Tom was saying, how the water does flow across from west to east at the point of, I think you called it a cartway, the southward driveway kind of thing. Is that what you called it, a cartway? A cartway, is that what you call it?
There's a cart path.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I just want to make sure I got the word right. When it's raining, I've definitely observed easily visible flow from west to east, as well as from north to south along Mellows Way. But it's easiest to see when the water's really coming down. I mean, I know we've said that the lot is really flat that we're talking about. And there is, in fact, a fairly deep depression just off of Mellows Way to the west of that, where the cartway is. It's, after a good rain, it's more than 2 feet deep there. But the land to the west of that pooling is higher than Mellows Way is. Even if Mellows Way is, say, an inch or two higher than it used to be, I couldn't, I saw it before it was re-gravelled, but I couldn't tell you, I'm not an engineer. Well, I am, but not that kind of engineer. But it's easy to see how, even though there's a bathtub there, if the rim of the bathtub on one side is higher than the other, it's going to overflow at the lower lip of the bathtub first, if that makes sense. I think that's all I have to offer, other than to support what my neighbors have said.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else? So, Mr. Smith, do you have anything else?
No, I don't. Bear with me 1 second, if you would, please.
I think getting out there with the 2 engineers to see, so they can see when it's raining or just after it's rained.
Unfortunately, this whole thing is a Sunday.
Tomorrow. Every other day.
But unfortunately, this has happened at the same time. We've had more rain than we ever had. And everybody could be right.
Yes.
Including the homeowners, and everybody could be right. Yes, sir?
I couldn't help it over here, but you were mentioning the wet season. But I wanted to point out that the folks on Lighthouse Lane have been noticing the problem since, I think, very early 2023.
Well, since that time, we've had more rain than we've ever had in that period of time. So I'm not saying that that's the reason. I'm just saying that there's been a lot more rain than normal.
No denying.
So.
Could I impose on the board to allow me to try and meet with Derek or Roger and then get back to the board at your next month and try and come up with a solution that's satisfactory to them?
I would approve that. So.
Yes, I agree.
So do we need a motion? No, we need a motion to continue this hearing. So
I would suggest that we continue to June 4th instead of May 21st, since we have already 3 public hearings on that night.
okay.
What time, Amy?
6:30.
Want a motion, Mr. Chair?
Please.
Mr. Chair, I move that we continue the public hearing for Plat 21, Lot 8A, Mellows Way, to June 4th at 6:30, for the purpose of the applicant conferring with S.W. Cole on the, to resolve the issues of water runoff primarily.
I second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up,
I'm gonna go grab Sean.
yeah. Is he, where is he?
We had a conservation meeting in Dartmouth at 7, so I think he's taking that. I'm gonna go find him. Maybe here in a minute if you.
Okay, let's move on to something else. Well, assistant planner's report?
So my update is on the accounts that we have lingering money in. So we just released Pine Hill, 559 Main Road, and Walters Way. So we're still holding surety for Walters Way, which is fine. That's $24,000 plus interest. Isidoro Court, I believe we can probably close that out at the beginning of next month, since there's been a dismissal with that case, but there's an appeal period for it. Coastal Healing, we're still holding surety for $25,000, and that's for the paving within the Route 6 corridor. But I'm sure we can hopefully release that by the beginning of the summer. And then we're just holding some surety for some solar arrays for the completion. But that should knock out a lot of the lingering accounts that we have.
Okay. And talk about, it brings up a point, since we have a minute or two. What is happening with Walters Way?
Nothing?
Nothing.
I would think that we probably need to move on that. I think that because we didn't have a lot of snow this year, the neighbors, or not the neighbors, the people that live on Walters Way didn't, call or make any complaints, but I think that we should use that surety at some point in the near future to improve that.
So the point, and I had, with having Amy report out on the surety accounts, is that with these different surety accounts that are outstanding and have been outstanding for some time, I think we need to start initiating the processes to pull the surety, have the public hearing, and then have the town do the work, or contract out to do the work, so we don't have these loose ends carrying on in perpetuity.
Right, as long as we don't give it away too soon and end up with a bill we can't pay for.
Right.
So, and that's happened. Okay. That's it?
That was me.
Okay, planner's report?
So we completed a congressional delegated spending request with Senator Warren and Markey's office. That was a $5 million request for the Route 6 sewer. Roger Fernandez helped us out with that, and that was for sections 2 and 3 of the sewer. Regarding our national coastal.
Can I ask a question on
Sure.
that? Is the plan for town meeting to go with phase 1 only?
Yes.
And that's supported by the infrastructure committee and the select board?
I don't know if it's been formally supported by the select board, however, when they were at their meeting last night, they expressed support for that strategy. But I don't know if they made.
They couldn't support it without a dollar figure. The dollar figure won't come until Friday.
Friday, 2 o'clock, the bids are opening.
Bids are opening.
But I think Bob's on the IFC, so he can.
Right.
I think.
But that is the plan, and it's in the $8 million. To reduce, the motion would be on the funding, to reduce the motion from $35 million to something around $8 million.
And if I am permitted 2 follow-up questions. Do we think that gets us finance committee approval? Some of the members of the finance committee said they thought that's what we were going to do, and they would have supported that. Do we think they'll end up supporting that?
I think there is a chance that they would, and we are meeting, the IOC is meeting with them on the 30th, and we have a list of specific questions, and as soon as we have the bids, we'll be able to put the exact numbers in.
And then last question, mechanically, do we have to introduce the 35 and then amend it from the floor?
No, we can, I don't know whether I will do it or Steve will do it, but the IOC will, the moderator will ask if there's a motion on the floor, and we'll just move to amend the warrant as it's produced, as it's published, from $35 to $8 million.
Okay, so that's pretty straightforward.
Right.
Yeah, and I saw an email from Maury that town council has given him or somebody the right wording for this amendment.
Yeah.
So I think that's good.
All right, so we submitted a pre-proposal application for $450,000 to develop a multi-jurisdictional coastal resilience plan with Dartmouth and Little Compton, and that was with the National Coastal Resilience Fund. So we'll see if we get invited to submit a full application to that. Regarding the Route 88 Dartmouth neighborhood to Dartmouth neighborhood plan, I submitted an expression of interest in partnership with SERPAD to develop a neighborhood plan for the area that's in between Route 88, looking at what incremental ways housing could be increased in that corridor, and also looking at what kinds of small amendments we could make to improve business zoning in that area as well. On a related note, for the zoning, John, you weren't here at the work session, but the board did decide that the zoning amendment, the Articles 34 and 37, which are for the Science and Technology Overlay District amendments and the Westport Gateway District, they made the decision to make a motion at town meeting to refer those articles back to the town, or to the planning board for further study.
Okay.
So, I don't know if the other planning board members have any comment on that.
I think that's the correct way. The town attorney suggested we do that as opposed to passing over. I don't know what the difference is. But. So.
So our project is for the Quequechan River Rail Trail is moving along through the Transportation Improvement Program. I submitted the project scope section of that to MassDOT this week, so we'll have to sit down with them and CERTVET to work out more details for that project once they have time to review it. An update on our MVP 2.0 grant. Our core team for that grant is formed, and we had our kickoff meeting last week. We're now doing training sessions to prepare the group to start doing climate change public engagement. And an update on our online permitting grant. We had demos with our top reviewed responses to the RFP. And we've picked out a staff favorite, and I think we'll be working. So we sat down with conservation, we had people from Board of Health, the building department, obviously, and planning. And so I think now we're going to be working towards selecting and contracting with a vendor in May.
Hallelujah. It's only 20 years late.
It's been a long time coming to with just getting things moving on the grant as well. So it'd be nice to get things in motion.
So just as an aside, over 18 years ago, when I was just sitting in the audience and watching the planning board, and then I was watching the Board of Health, and then I was watching conservation, I programmed a program to do this, and I went and showed it to Tim Gillespie, who was on the planning board. He said, "That's really cool, but it'll never go," because nobody wants to do it.
Well, we're here now, and we have the money, and we've got to spend it, so,
But I was, anyway.
So one question of the town planner. So, Michael, having approved the expenditure of roller skates for Sean Leach so that he can get to meetings back and forth in the same building, how long do you expect it will take to procure those?
I don't know, do you need me to apply for a grant?
30 years.
So.
You still going to be doing this in 30 years, Sean?
No.
Perfect.
I hope not. God.
So the last update here is on our culvert replacement grant that we're working on with Buzzards Bay Coalition. These are the undersized culverts at Angeline Brook and Snell Creek. We're partnering with them. They have some grant funds they need to expend from different grants they've received, and we're combining our funds to work on this project. And so they put out an RFP for engineering services that was due a couple weeks ago, and so they're expected to select a firm this week to start doing that preliminary culvert design for wildlife crossings and having kind of more right-sized culverts with climate change and increased stormwater flows. So now we can.
Is that just for the Cornell Road crossing?
It's for Cornell. There's 3 different locations. I don't remember off the top of my head, but one does include
Cornell, Adamsville, and
Cornell, Adamsville.
Where's the one in Adamsville?
about a mile south of the main road, crosses.
Oh, on Adamsville Road.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotcha. Okay.
There's a concern because there's still sea run brook trout in that.
That's exactly what it's for.
Yeah.
It's for the Sea Run Brook Trail.
There's still an Angeline Brook, I think. They still come up.
I caught some a couple of years ago.
Did you?
Yeah. And Angeline Brook is another one.
Yeah.
Westport has more cold run brook trout than any other town in Massachusetts, I think.
Oh, yeah. Well, southeastern Mass for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Next up is the 6:30 public hearing. No, I'm sorry. The 6th, got to go back. 6:15 public hearing. No.
6:45.
The 6th.
Plus the approval not required.
No, the approval not required. Where's that? It's on the other page.
Number 8. It's on the same page as the 645.
Okay, it's a little one here. Okay, approval not required, A&R, map 87, lot 5, 461 Old Harbor Road, file number 24-008A, request by the applicant for endorsement of a two-lot plan of land located between 435 and 471 Old Harbor Road, assessors map 87, lot 5.
Good evening. For Charlie Merrow, applicant, map 87, lot 5, Sean Leach, Northeast Engineers. This is a flexible frontage in which we want to create basically one lot that is actually a flexible frontage lot, shown as lot 1 on this plan, with about 76 feet of frontage going back and an area that meet the requirements of flexible frontage. The reason we like to do this is there are already 2 lots cut out here, and we want to cluster the homes in one particular section and keep the rest of the land open for future considerations. We're not sure what those considerations are. This map also includes lots, land in Rhode Island, but we did not include that as part of lot 2 because we're only concerned about the land in Westport, and there was confusion with the assessors, with areas and things like that on this lot. But I think we've got that straightened out, hopefully. But what we're creating basically is one flexible frontage lot and leaving the remaining land as is, with about 350 feet of frontage left and about 8 acres. We're creating a lot with a little bit less than 3 acres with the 76 feet of frontage, which meets the frontage requirement that's listed here in the table for I know there were some comments. I don't know if you want me to address the comments or anything here. There are a couple of things that I've added to the plan since then, but we were waiting for the final plan to see if there were any comments from the board itself.
Okay, is this the same, are these the same parcels on which he is looking for a site plan review?
No, this parcel is separate, and the other parcel is, you can scroll up way to the north of this. It's a completely different parcel north of here. Up in here. So this is this parcel, this.
Yeah.
This is kind of confusing. Oh, here is the parcel with the house, the library, and the barns, and everything. Is this parcel here. This is this parcel here.
And the one in the middle is the one he wants to keep?
I think there's a plan, and I don't want to say this, and I don't want to commit to anything, obviously. There's a plan to combine some of this with the Scott Land Trust, which is just on the other side of the...
Yeah, okay. Okay. You want to read the comments from the various boards?
Let me just get into the...
Well, that's not part of this thing. It's part of the flexible frontage. So maybe we're doing this as backwards. Shouldn't we do the flexible frontage first?
That's what I mean. That's why I think the hearing at 6:45 should be flexible frontage, consideration approval, and the A&R.
Right. Yeah, so let's depart this one and go to the 6:45 public hearing for 461 Old Harbor Road, file number 24-008 SP-FF, request by the applicant to consider the special permit applications of Charles Merrow for property located between 453 and 471 Old Harbor Road, assessors map 87, lot 5, owned by Levine Edward Harris, trustee of Newtis Hill Land Preservation Trust pursuant to Westport zoning bylaw section 8.6, special permit for flexible frontage, requesting approval to reduce otherwise applicable frontage requirements on a public way in exchange for a corresponding reduction in development density, creating one new lot. So I think you've already said what you had to say.
Yeah, I think so. I think one new lot, we actually, because you're cutting out one lot, you're actually creating two lots here, but, yeah.
You're creating two lots, so, and you're using just shy of 75 feet as
Yeah.
frontage on the smaller lot.
Correct. We're basically squaring off the edge of the property, is what the plan here is. This is Ted Canari's house up in here. This is gonna square off, basically this, because the way this is configured without this is kind of unusable land for the remaining land over here.
And the extra rectangular shape, this is the 25-foot setback?
The extra rectangle.
On the interior.
On the interior, that's the zone, those are the zoning offsets that are required under the flexible frontage, 25 feet and 75 feet. So that would be the zoning offset. We have added, since added, and I've sent to the assistant town planner, a building envelope in here, showing it, which is requested, and it's part of the notes, as part of this flexible frontage plan, but we're waiting to see if there's anything else that the board wants before we finalize the Mylar.
So, I hate to digress, but I think you're pointing out a problem with one of our articles at town meeting that requires frontage of 100 feet back to the house, back 200 feet.
Right.
So, and yet we're allowing flexible frontage down to 70 feet with 70-foot frontage.
Right. It's, I don't know if it's a concern because the special permit for flexible frontage says we can reduce that, and there is a different set of requirements on the flexible frontage outside what would be a traditional A&R 100-foot wide, 100-foot frontage type of lot. Where this is a special permit that says you have the discretion to say we can go down to 75 feet width or whatever the case may be. Because it would kind of be self-defeating if it weren't that way. For 100 feet would kind of kill the flexible frontage.
So, is there any reason why it's 74.86 feet instead of 75 feet or something?
That's because when we drew a straight line, we had a certain area. And to meet the area, you know, parallel, everything parallel, nice and square, to meet that area, you get to a certain point where the geometry of this lot and the frontage here makes a nice straight line that goes front and back.
I'm sorry I'm not following it, but it would seem to me for 0.14 inches or feet that it would look exactly the same.
I don't disagree with you. And it would probably pick up like an extra 100 square feet, but I don't disagree with you. This is what was shown.
Okay, so planners, you want to read the comments?
Sure. So the comments we received were mainly from the Zoning Board of Appeals, and these comments have been rectified since then, but the comments read, the field card for 461 Old Harbor Road, Assessor's Map 87, Lot 5, is 8.1 acres, which corresponds to the size of Lot 2. Accordingly, we do not know where Lot 1 came from. The property record card there appears to have been prior subdivisions of this lot. Further, according to MapGeo, the lot is 10.95 acres. Thus, the ZBA cannot discern that what is actually being subdivided, as the records are inconsistent and should be updated. Further, both the assessor's card and the registry of deeds have the owner being Nudis Hill Land Preservation Trust, with E.H. Levine being the trustee. This is a nominee trust, as the beneficiaries of this trust are private. Are we certain that Charles Merrow is the beneficiary and the only beneficiary of this trust? I've received confirmation that Charles Merrow is the only beneficiary of that trust, and the assessor's office has updated their field card to reflect the 10.95 acres.
Okay. And from Conservation?
Conservation stated that there is an ancient way on this property going into Little Compton and wasn't sure if we'd like it provided on the plan.
There's a way.
Mr. Ancient Way, I would suggest that you would probably want that, right?
There was an agreement between this owner and the person who has rights in the ancient way, Mr. Smith, to move the ancient way. It goes right through here, and it was to move the ancient way to go straight back to the property. Right now, it kind of meanders through this property, and it hasn't been maintained, and it's not drivable right now. You can still see it on in an aerial, but it's, you know, for convenience to Mr. Smith, and we probably going to end up as kind of conservation also. He has one piece that's kind of landlocked behind
So
here, and that's his access to it.
These two smaller lots at the bottom, they would have the right to that, to use that if it went through their property. Or
The interesting thing about that way that goes through there, it shows up on the original grant map for the state of Rhode Island, Province Plantations, which cut up all these pieces, because part of this road didn't exist until the early 1900s, which is the problem with all the deeds. These parcels cross. If you go down there, you won't see walls in the front, you typically would on every West road. These actually came across, the land trust owns land. You'll see the walls zigzagging all over through here, which were all part of this parcel. So there was a giant title search about 15 years ago that I was involved in, that basically rectified the problem. So you had Records Way, which got to River Road, and there was nothing in between that and Mullen Hill and this laneway here. And this laneway came from Pottersville Road down through, and was part of the state of Rhode Island. When they changed the state line over to here, this kind of went away as a way you generally use the public, but there was a way for that property in the back. That's helpful.
Well, that's interesting. Okay. So, do we have any other comments?
From the departments? No.
Or from you?
No, I would, I think Michael has a comment.
No, sir.
You are? Oh, okay.
He addressed one of my comments earlier, which was the building envelope piece. He said it'll be on a revised plan.
Oh, okay, but it is on the revised plan.
No, he said it would be added.
I know, but he did add it.
Right.
Today, right?
Yeah, are you talking about building envelope?
Mm-hmm.
I had, Ms. Messier had contacted me last week about some of the comments. I didn't get these comments till yesterday. So, we didn't show a building envelope, which is required. So there's a rectangular building envelope, which I think is like 135 by 220. Which is about a little less than 3/4 of an acre, basically rectangle,
There wasn't.
on a 2-acre lot.
Oh,
Okay, so does this meet all the other requirements for flexible frontage?
it does.
Yes. Okay, then I would entertain a motion to
Mr.
close
Chairman,
the-
I have a comment. This is a little sort of clever piece of business. I don't mean that in a particularly pejorative way. But if you took this parcel as it stands now and did a conventional A&R, the total frontage of that lot is 552 feet and change. So you get 3 lots. We allow this flexible frontage, and now the remainder lot has frontage of 477 feet, and it can be divided into 3 lots. So this idea of the flexible frontage reduces the overall density. When viewed this parcel at large, granting this flexible frontage increases the density.
But isn't part of granting this flexible frontage, it goes on the deeds, that this is indivisible?
The parcel
Oh.
that is being granted the flexible frontage, that would carry on the deed. The principal lot or the lot where the subdivision is originating does not need to have the same sort of restriction.
That's lot 2.
That is,
Lot-
yes, lot 2.
So lot 2, that's what Bob is saying.
Right.
It's
This
still being
split-
divvied into 3 lots.
This plan says all upland, not flexible frontage. So it means, so if you take the parcel at a whole, this, if we were to approve this, we would increase we have the potential to increase the density on this parcel.
If you, do you have the yield plan?
So the yield plan shows 5 lots, so
Okay.
it would technically still be decreased by 1 lot.
Right. So if you did a yield plan, Bob, I know what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you. If you did a yield plan of a, stub road in here, created
okay.
frontage, you would come up with 5 lots. If you did it this way and did 3 Form As, you'd get 4 lots, so you'd still have less density. I know what you're saying, that if you showed like a regular A&R for this whole parcel,
Right.
you still have 4 lots, correct?
No, if you did the whole parcel, all you can get is 3 lots.
Right.
No, 3 plus the one down below.
No.
If you didn't do the flexible frontage.
Oh,
If you took the red frontage and divided it, all you can get is 3 lots.
Correct.
Because
But
total
if you
is
took-
550, right? You
But if
said?
you took a subdivision road in,
Of
then you would get, and that's what the yield plan typically, you show that this is what we could max out at. But because of this, we're reducing what would be.
I'm pulling up the yield plan right now.
Okay.
Just give me a second.
I know exactly what you're saying. It's an unusual situation because usually there's a lack of frontage on these type of, that's why you do the flexible frontage, there's a lack of frontage on an accepted way. This lot happens to have a lot of frontage.
I rarely get calls on A&Rs, but I got one on this.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Wow. So if you did A&Rs, you can only get 3, and now you're gonna get 4. But if you did a subdivision, you'd get 5, right?
Correct.
And do we have the yield plan somewhere?
I'm working on finding that. Give me a second.
Well, can you still do a subdivision on lot 2?
And get 4 more?
Well,
No.
I don't know.
No, you couldn't.
I don't think there's enough area.
All right.
There is a, okay. So this is very basic, and these lots are very big. You probably could actually get another lot out of this. These lots are all significant size. These two are about 60,000, but these are bigger than size. So if you did just a basic row, you get 5 lots. So therefore, you increase the infrastructure and all the things that you're trying to avoid with a flexible front.
I hadn't seen that.
I know, I understand your point exactly. It doesn't seem like it's the intent of the bylaws to allow what could happen.
Right.
well, is there anything that prohibits us from limiting Lot 2 to
4 lots.
to 2 lots in the future?
2 lots or 3 lots?
2.
2 in the future, so a grand total of 3 when you combine it with Lot 1.
I don't know how you would do that.
I think there's no way to do it, John, but
know there's a
I think
mechanism
if you
to do that.
could say that the big lot is part of this, and so that can
That's
only be 1 lot, and the other one could be 1 lot, and there'd be only 2 lots total. But that's not what they're looking for, so.
No, I know that's not what they're looking for, but if both lots are considered part of the flexible frontage, and you say that Lot 2, which is much bigger, is permitted for 2 lots, because it is much bigger,
Mhm.
that's a total of 3, where the as of right is 5. You've now taken it to 3 instead of 4.
I don't know how we do that. We would have to deny this one and have them reapply.
Because the option would be, you know, we talked about this, we being the applicant and everything, is the force to come in and do a 5-lot subdivision. Call it a day.
Well, you've been at enough of these meetings that you qualify as an honorary board member, Sean, but whether or not you make as much money with larger lots and more expensive houses than you do with smaller lots and less expensive houses, especially in that neighborhood.
I think it's a toss-up on that particular thing.
Yeah.
That give it, because the minimum area of 60,000 square feet is more land than what people ever want to begin with. So, yeah, it's happening.
Not necessarily.
Six of another. If you,
Yeah.
you know, if you make more money, yeah, you probably would make more 5 than 4, 5 subdivisions to 4 A&Rs.
But the road will.
Yeah, but you gotta
cost a
put in
lot.
the road, right?
That's true, you do have to put the road in, but people love being on the private roads on the cul-de-sac. I mean, I'm not a real estate expert,
Yeah.
but I would say that it would be, all those 5 lots would be fairly pricey. And I would say that if you really want to stretch it, you probably get 6 lots out of this.
I'm sure you could.
Is this lot, I have no sense of the topography or the vegetation. Is it all woodland or
It's
is it
all,
cleared?
it's very nice dry woodland.
It's all
and it's
wooded.
fairly, really good land for Westport Harbor as Westport Harbor goes. It comes off the road fairly quickly, steep, and then flattens out, and then the back drops way off. But that's in Rhode Island, that's in Little County. That's a different issue.
Do they have water there? Fresh water? Because parts of the harbor don't.
Right across the river on Old Harbor Road, there's an old spring
Yeah.
where all the harbor people used to go and get their big, huge glass bottles filled up.
I know they have water here, and there's a household here that has water. I think they can get water. I know there are problems. This is, as water goes on the other side of the ridge, on the good side of the ridge, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's not down, sloping towards,
When we're
River Road.
when we're looking for water with Weston and Sampson for the harbor, this area, especially just across the street,
Yeah.
was a place.
Yeah, I think the old well house is still, part of it's still there.
There is a well house there, still.
In the woods there is an old.
There's an old well, yeah, there's an old well house there, that used to be part of, it's weird because this road didn't exist. So it was part of this, but all the people used to go to use it. I think whatever cart path that existed around here turned into Old Harbor Road.
It might have been a spur off of Records Way, actually, to get there.
Well, there's another wall that goes down from the well, actually heading toward River Road. I don't know where it goes to. My guess is towards Brian's land or something. I'm not sure where it goes.
No, it comes out, it goes to the end of, almost to the end of Maple, Lane.
Oh, towards you, Maple Lane.
And there's other walls up in there too, they're all over the
Well, that's where, this is one of these places across the street where walls go to die.
So, what is the sense? I would welcome any motion.
Okay, this is showing the proposed building envelope. Assuming the driveway comes in. I don't know where else you put it.
So do we have one action or 2 actions?
Well,
Do we have
we have to deal with this first, and then we have to deal with the A&Rs. which create the lots.
So this is a special permit
Correct.
application?
Yeah.
And and in the order of this, do we make the motion on the special permit and then have Amy read the sample findings and sample conditions? All right, I will move that we grant the special permit application of Charles Merrill for property located between 453 and 471 Old Harbor Road, assessors map 87, lot 5, owned by Levine Edward Harris, trustee of the Nudist Hill Land Preservation Trust, pursuant to Westport zoning law, section 8.6, special permit for flexible frontage request approval to reduce otherwise applicable frontage requirements on a public way in exchange for a corresponding reduction in development density, creating one new lot.
Okay, is there a second? Hearing none, I'll second it.
Given the approved plan, I'll second it.
Okay.
And before the vote, should we have the sample findings?
Yes.
So I think Amy passed out to everyone sample findings, but Amy, would you read the findings and then the sample conditions?
Sure. Sample findings are that the reduction in frontage meets the purpose and intent of the flexible frontage bylaw by allowing for better design by providing restrictions on further lot division and limiting areas to be cleared, thereby reducing disturbed areas and stormwater runoff. The applicant submitted a field plan showing that a minimum of 5 lots could be developed under a traditional subdivision. And by granting the special permit, the applicant would be limited to the amount of development on lot 1. This would prohibit further subdivisions, limit the land clearing, preserve the natural and cultural resources, facilitate the movement of wildlife, protect traditional access to backland, open space, and reduce stormwater runoff. Flexible frontage design standards were utilized to the maximum extent feasible and defined in section 8.6 of the zoning bylaw. Sample conditions include a plan made suitable for recording, which is the Form A plan may be used to meet this condition, shall be submitted to the following statements and conditions. A, subject to a special permit pursuant to the town's flexible frontage bylaw, section 8.6, granted on April 23rd, 2024, the Westport Planning Board, and recorded in the Bristol County Southern District Registry of Deeds book and page. B, sublots 1 as shown on this plan benefiting from the reduced frontage under zoning bylaw, section 8.6 shall not be further subdivided and no modification of the clearing restrictions and building locations shall occur without a corresponding modification of the flexible frontage permit. And C, no lot clearing shall begin and no building permit shall be issued for sublot 1 as shown on this plan benefiting from reduced frontage under zoning bylaw section 8.6 until the special permit has been duly approved, executed, and recorded, and evidence of the recording has been filed with the inspector of buildings.
Mr. Chair, what I'd like to do, and I hope the seconder will approve it, is modify my motion to incorporate the sample findings and the sample conditions as read by the assistant planner.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Does
with
the seconder?
I'd like a copy of this.
Is that okay, Bob? I think you seconded it.
I did. I will.
Okay.
Okay. Any more discussion?
I have a question.
Yep.
Do you have the sample motion
Yep.
to approve the flexible frontage?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's in there where it says, subject to finding and conditions as stated. I don't know if you read the motion that I wrote.
No, I don't have the sample motions.
It's in here.
Oh, you were right, because you were. for the?
Oh, yeah, here it is.
Okay.
Yep. Didn't turn the page, Nadine, sorry.
Do you have a motion and a second on the table to amend, John's initial motion?
There's a motion and a second to amend John's motion?
No,
We already did that.
yeah, no, I just wanted to add the findings and conditions, but that's in the, what I meant to say was what's in the, in here, so just
Stick to the script, John.
stick to the script.
Late.
So, is the motion okay with you, Nadine?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You want another motion?
Yes, we need to close the public hearing.
I move to close the public hearing.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
And now we need to approve the A and R.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the endorsement of the plan entitled Map 87, Lot 5, 461 Old Harbor Road, Westport, Mass., because the plan complies with the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 81P.
Second.
So we're just approving the two lots.
Right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And thank you for being,
Thank you.
helping me on my multiple meetings at the same time.
Okay.
Roller skates will be in the mail, Sean.
Well, I'll need ice skates in the winter, but
All right.
have a good night.
Good night.
Hope you finish, or
We're almost done. Correspondence?
Sorry, Nadine. Second time today.
There's an administrative appeal at 6 Wildberry Way. And the appeal is that the building enforcement officer has stated that turning this property into a condominium is not allowed under zoning bylaws 9.5.3 and 9.5.4.
I'm not sure that's true. Because condominium is a type of ownership, not a type of division of residences.
Well, this is for accessory apartments.
Yeah. Well, that's true. You can't make an accessory apartment a condominium.
So someone's appealing, trying to turn an accessory apartment into a condominium.
I think it says right in the bylaw, you can't do that. Anyway, what else?
That's it?
That's it. Okay. We have minutes.
God bless you.
Of March 19th.
they're great. I move to approve the minutes of March 19th, 2024.
Second, though.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That was a long meeting.
Yeah.
A lot of minutes.
Our agenda says the next planning board is September 5th. That cannot be
It's May 21st.
May 21st.
So, matters not reasonably anticipated within 48 hours? Okay. So then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Which plan is that? That's the 14th. Oh, I usually